Great. Welcome everyone to the Ascended Astrology reading for March. And I'm actually just going to let you start us off, Aubriana, if you'd like. And so Aubriana will start with the astrology and then we will ascend it through the DMT codes.
Thank you, Jules. Okay, so this was really fun because it keeps showing itself and it's always going to be different. So this month, we're actually going to be looking at four different transits and we're going to tap a little bit into the eclipse. So I'm going to talk about the transit a little bit and its lens using astrology. And then we'll connect it to the DMT codes and kind of go into what it looks like on the other side. So we are gonna, I will say there is a bit of an emphasis on relationships this month for March. So we'll see what comes through that. The first major transit we have is Venus squaring Uranus. So I will say that the code for this, Venus is our 9 and Uranus is our 5.
Mhm.
So around this time, you may seek excitement and stimulation through your love relationships. Um, in astrology, Venus is the planet of relationships, love, beauty, worth, harmony, and square is kind of a rather harsh aspect to Uranus, which is he is rebellion, he's like lightning, awakening. And so around this time, I would say be mindful of your levels of patience towards loved ones, especially if you are in any way kind of expecting them to make things exciting for you, right? Kind of like taking responsibility for your own excitement. And then there is a potential with this to have tension within relationships. But I will say that if there's no obstructions within your relationships, it can kind of lead to new and exciting experiences with your loved ones. So it might show up as a test of flexibility within your relationships. Um, the more flexibility we have, the kind of smoother things will be, especially with this kind of awakening energy. And it's definitely a good time to look for new experiences. Uranus can really bring that awakening energy. So, Jules, how about the 9 and the 5?
All right. So it's so interesting just listening to you talking. So with the 9, I feel as though we're always wanting to see what the illusion is first, right? And that we see reality as as the illusion. And then in that, we're walking through the shift of I know I had this reading. I can't remember who it was, and I wouldn't say anyways, but at the very end of it, I said I had this vision of watching like your life. So one show, it's the drama, right? And it's all like, whoa. And then the other side is the comedy. And that's kind of what I'm feeling in this is that depending on where we're holding our awareness is going to be one or the other. And I just thought that was such a beautiful way of showing what's possible when we're inviting the divine to show us through the illusion is because then we don't have to take things so seriously. And that's kind of what I'm feeling on the other side of this is it's we can be in witness of all of it. And it doesn't mean if there's maybe not things that we need to put our attention to, because I'm also feeling in that 9 in the 5 is there is a responsibility in holding your truth within the illusion, if you will. And that too can create a shift for the positive. So I'm feeling both of them at the same time. I kind of want to go on because I feel like whatever the next one is going to kind of add to this. So if I were to sum that up, I would say, one moment. Maybe the question, just because I'm kind of cheating here, because I know that we have this eclipse coming up, and a lot of it is about letting go of what doesn't serve us anymore. And it's maybe just allowing the frequency of the nine really bridge to the five. So it's the ability to see what the illusions are so that you can shift beyond the illusion and see what's actually there. And I'll leave it at that.
I love that. Yeah, okay, so there's definitely some more information that'll come through because the next one we're looking at happens about a week later on March 9th, and it's when Mars is going to square Uranus. So it's the same aspect, just with different players or with different different energies. So it's still it can be a rather harsh aspect with the square. It's Uranus again. So again, that awakening energy, that lightning, and this time it's Mars. So Mars is going to be our action, our willpower, and this can bring up a time of great restlessness or impulsiveness. Mars is going to be our one, and Uranus is going to be our five on the other side.
Mm,
So this is really going to bring up an energy of desiring to be free of restraints and the impulse to rebel against restrictions, right? So it's like really coming in here to shake things up. The challenge here is going to be to feel as if you can show up as yourself and periodically renew so that like life doesn't become stale. So we can kind of see that with the five energy. And just the goal is to create ongoing creative change. And I will say if these energies like aren't really like utilized or like it could be kind of seen as like a pressure cooker where if it gets like a little bit too built up, there could be a total revolution necessary to like get unstuck.
mhm.
So there is some like of the shadow of programming is like it can rear its head as like impulsiveness or rashness if we don't kind of look at it before it's like really really in our face.
I love that. So immediately what I saw with the one is is kind of inviting that innovator in. And I know a lot of you are in wealth consciousness. So inviting the innovator to come in and show you new ways of approaching problems is what I heard. So it's the ability to see what those energies are and then stepping into the divine innovator or inventor to be able to kind of well, and then with the five, it's to reinvent, it's to allow it to shift and change from that frequency. And I'm also seeing almost like and it's interesting because we don't have the three here, but I saw with the innovator, I literally saw almost like rewriting of something that's being rewritten, or like the rules are being rewritten, that kind of stuff, but it's being done through a place of compromise and peace and love and new ideas and contribute can but two, if there was two that were, would say, in the conflict, that both would be contributing to the solution, if you will. And then that's actually creating the change. That almost makes me want to back up and go to the nine of the and put an avatar to that, because both of them have that five energy. So if the nine is the ability to see the illusion, and then you step into the one to reinvent the frequency of what's seen, is going to create the change. And the change is ongoing through both of these. So it'll be really interesting to see what comes next. So I'll let you go ahead.
I love it. Okay, so you totally tapped into the three. So this is great. So March 17th, the next aspect we're looking at is Sun conjunct Neptune. So conjunct just means that they're side by side. So their conversation is very tight. And it's the Sun, which is the self, the soul, our sense of self, who we are, is right next to Neptune. So Neptune is illusion, delusion, daydreaming. And so this is going to be the Sun is 7 and Neptune is 3. So, like you were saying, like the 3 just came in. Um, this is a day or like a kind of like a container in which it will stimulate awareness in ways that are difficult to understand with the intellect. So um, I love bringing this here because we talk so much about you don't have to understand it with the intellect. And this is actually a great day to kind of sit back and practice. Um, this Neptune energy is going to make us very sensitive. So feeling into energies rather than trying to understand them on an intellectual level. It is a
What
good,
what day is this again,
this
Aubrey?
is March 17th.
Okay.
It's a little bit later in the month. It's a good transit for helping people. So it's almost like it's a very ego depriving transit because Neptune is kind of obscuring the ego. The sun can be seen as ego, so it makes it easier during this time to kind of intuitively feel other people or to help other people. Um, and then it can kind of bring up interests in like spirituality or other interests that are not of this world or tangible or intellectual. And it could the kind of the shadow programming or the difficult aspect of this could be that we become overly involved with compassion for others that could kind of leave us a little drained.
Mhm.
And then a good use of this, if any, with Neptune, sometimes this essence of escapism can come up, and we could a good way to kind of utilize that if it does come up for you would be to like immerse yourself in like a novel or meditation, things like that around this energy. So yes, this is the 7 and the 3.
And which one comes first? Or it does one of them come first?
The sun comes first. So 7 comes first and then to the 3.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to just keep connecting avatars to this. So the 7 is the messenger or the teacher, but it's also that kind of direct phone line to guidance, which I love when you were talking about not understanding it with the intellect. So we have the 7 to support us in holding our consciousness in the abstract or that unknown space where we start to tap into that intelligence outside of the intellect, which is so beautiful. And then we have the 3, which is okay, so let's just back it up. So it was breaking through or seeing the illusion to create a change, which allowed that innovator energy, being able to see it from a new
Mhm.
perspective or from a new space that is continuing the change. And then, boom, you hit a place where you're getting this direct guidance and having to hold your consciousness in that abstract on purpose, right? Because we have to have an attuning process to be able to what then write out the new contract or the new set of well, the new blueprint to step
Mhm.
into, but we don't want to write a blueprint until we fully attuned in that 7. So I love that we're going to be in this space where the intellect doesn't understand because it's in that if we use discipline in that on the other side, we're given direct communication on what to take action on or what to be building, and it's also a very creative energy, so it doesn't mean it's going to have every step, but you'll have something to at least guide you into the next. So we'll see what comes next because I can't remember the codes.
So then we're going to, like I said, this month is there's a pretty heavy emphasis on relationships. And the last transit we're going to look at is on March 21st. We have Venus again, the planet of love, relationships, beauty, harmony, worth, is conjunct. So sitting right next to Saturn. And Saturn is our responsibilities. He's very dry. Um, he's cold and strict. And so this is going to be Venus is our nine and Saturn is our four. So this can bring love and affection can kind of literally manifest as like dry. um, it can like the affection will still be there, but it may be more suppressed because when Saturn is right next to Venus, you can imagine Venus is like, I want to love and I want to express and I want to, write our names in my notebook with a thousand hearts. Um, and I just saw Saturn coming up and like taking the pen away, right? So he's like, no, focus, focus on your responsibilities. Um, so there can also be an inclination to seek advice from an older person. Sometimes Saturn can represent that about your relationships. So the reflection that we're looking for in this is what role relationships play in our life. Um, so yeah, and then there's always, of course, it can lead to separation or a breakup of a relationship during this time. So that's 9 and 4.
9 and 4. Okay. I'm just listening to what you said and I'm just looking at the other side of that. And going back to also that new blueprint. So I would say I love the way all of these kind of lead into the other because the 3 is supporting when you hit the 9 again and you're having this new energy of how to, but I also love that the 9 is supported by a foundation. So there is a foundation to rest in, right? So if the illusion is that it should be a relationship should be one way or the other in the first place, right? It's like stepping back. When you were saying that with the little hearts and then the taking away of the pen, I love that, by the way. um but it went before you even said that, I literally was like, it's like, just do your job. Right? It's that kind of like, and but in such a playful way, right? It's like it was this place where it doesn't have to be something that's taking away from affection. It can literally be the bonding of two people coming in and getting it done, right? It's like using that energy to propel what needs to get done. And even if it's okay, let's hardcore look at the parts of our lives that aren't working and let's hardcore do this. And then we're creating this new foundation because we took the time to sit in that uncomfortable abstract place to kind of see, oh, this is where we need to go. And then now with that, we know kind of where we're going. It's like, let's do it instead of like getting lost in the illusion. So it's really using that 9 to push through the veil and create a foundation where it's at a higher frequency than before. I also heard in that is the ability to, and I don't know if this is exactly what you were saying, but it came to me, so I'm just going to say it, is that when we are wanting somebody else to fulfill um like our emotional state, I guess, that we do something to fulfill that for ourselves, and that's what it is to show up in a relation of wholeness. So it's the illusion that we need to have somebody else love us in order to feel loved. And so the other side of that would be the love for the self is the most solid foundation. The love with the divine self is the most solid foundation. So that was the other way I was kind of seeing the 9 and the 4 together as well.
I love that. Total chills. Okay. Because it brings us to our first eclipse. So, which is all about relationships. Okay. And we're just going to kind of touch on what eclipses are here because we will be deep diving into this at a later date. Stay tuned. Um, but our first eclipse of eclipse season is happening on March 25th, and it's a lunar eclipse in Libra. So again, Libra is all about relationships. Libra is also about balance and harmony. She's ruled by Venus, so a lot of those similar attributes there. But she um, rules the seventh house, like literally of relationships. And I also just want to mention to, I know this is bringing into linear time, but sometimes that's where some of the information's held. It's connected to an eclipse from October 14th of last year. So you can kind of think about that in terms of what was going on around October in your relationships and what has transpired since that time up until now. But eclipses have to do with new beginnings or endings. I will say there's a lot of information in them because it's like the way that the light is shown literally will bring the information. So I would say wait for all the information to be shown fully before taking any action. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's going to be so this connection is going to be with our 7, our 33, our 6, and our 7. So this is both connected to the sun, which is 7, and then Libra, the teacher avatar, which is 7.
Mm. Okay, so it was seven, two sevens,
Mhm.
the 33, I already forgot,
And the 6,
and the six.
the moon. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, the first thing I got with the two sevens with the Libra and the sun, it was kind of the teacher reflecting the message and
Mm.
vice versa, right? So it's almost like the teacher teaching the teacher, or the reflection of what the message is teaching the person that's saying the message. It's kind if that makes sense. So what
Mhm.
that could look like is I'm also kind of thinking of the wealth consciousness as when you're in reflection with the partner and something is said and you're able to see it in a way that you weren't able to see it by
Yep.
just thinking about it. It's that kind of energy. And so and then the 33 and the 6. It's interesting because what I keep seeing with the 33 is another 6 too. So there's something where that 33 isn't necessarily fully actualized right now. It's kind of like holding a space for us to move into reflection wise. And so it makes more sense to the reflection of the message, reflection with the teacher, teacher with teacher, that reflection piece. It's creating kind of that ascended family or the ascended DNA. It's the activation of the next frequency, which is then I literally see like these hands. So these are the teachers, and then between the two is the activation of that 6. And then the hands are kind of holding the 33. That's just the image that I'm kind of getting. And so the activation is releasing that 33. And what I'm seeing almost for this eclipse on the 25th, it's the ability to bring something, let's say that you're working on. So maybe it's a relationship or what if that is what lights you up, but it could even be the relationship of self. and then
Mhm.
reflecting it with somebody that's in the same frequency. So it's frequency reflecting frequency, which activates that new frequency through the DNA, which is the six, that is turning on that 33, and then bringing that energy into whatever comes next is kind of the way I'm seeing to use that. And I'm going to leave it at that because I do feel like that's the focus, is that that frequency is released, and then it's almost like then your responsibility is to hold consciousness there and let go of the rest of it. Is there, Brianna, with this eclipse on the 25th, because I keep feeling that, I don't know, when I think about just like tapping into that day, which I think is really interesting because it's on the 25th, right? Which is another seven. It's the 777, right? So there it's that reflection in itself. I just like I see somebody like this is just the image that I'm getting, so I don't know. I see this image of somebody carrying one of those really old suitcases that don't have wheels, and you have to like hold it by a handle. Um, and okay, legit, my sister, she hadn't traveled in so long. We went to my mom's wedding in Arizona, and she flew, and she literally had the same suitcase from when we were like 17. And it was one of those suitcases. So she's carrying this super heavy suitcase. And so that's what I'm seeing is like you're carrying it up to this day of the 25th, and you're going through all these energies. And every single time you keep taking out all the stuff that you just don't need anymore. And by the time you get to the 25th, you only have what you need to move forward into April. That's what I'm getting.
Full body chills. Yeah. Yep. Because then you're gonna be given the next bit of information
I love that.
to go into the next one. So yeah,
When you
definitely.
just said that, I heard the focus of the information beforehand is what doesn't serve me.
Mm,
And then when that is released, what is for you to bring forward is received, but it has to be released. You have to be willing to let go of the things that I mean, this is what I keep, this is kind of what my focus has been as well, is where am I putting energy that the divine is pouring into and like keeps filling and overflowing the frequency there and keeps revealing more and more, and it has the magic. And then where isn't that way? And looking at that and asking, like, is it time to let this go? And be willing to let it go if it is kind of the message that I was hearing. Okay. Do you have anything else to add to it all?
the only thing that keeps coming in, so I guess I'll say it, is just I'm so glad you brought through that relationship to self
Mm,
because it just feels really um profound. I don't know, to look at instead of it always being like relationships with someone else where we're going for reflection, it's like, yeah, kind of diving deeper into that relationship with self and what's there to be seen and what's there to be released. So that's it though.
I love that. And I do feel like it always starts there, right? Because we can't show up and we have to show up in wholeness when we are in reflection with another, or there it's always going to be fragmented. And not that it's always going to be perfect, but if that's where we're starting, there's so much beauty and grace that can come from that. And I do see relationships evolving more and more into that space. And I'll leave it at that because I know some of you know that that's a passion of mine, and I'm not in a relationship, so who am I to say? But okay, so do you want to hold up the codes and we'll just code everybody and then I want to open it up to discussion because I feel like there's going to be some good stuff that's going to come through.
I would love
Or
to.
wait, how are we doing it? Are we doing just are we picking how are we doing this?
We have our five, and then we
Okay.
were picking our sixth one for particles of possibility.
Kathy, do you have your DMT codes with you? Do you want to randomly pick one for our sixth code?
Five.
Okay, she picked the 22. So the sixth code is 22. I know, yay. Okay,
So I'm just getting them. 5, 6, 1, 4, 8.
and then I'm gonna pin you. I'm gonna remove my pin so that the codes can be seen well. Oh, remove.
I'm so glad that the 22 came through to be seen again since it was such a pivotal part in last month.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so I'll let you hold up the codes and then I'll do the coding and then we'll open it up to discussion.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so I have you on pin so everyone can see you. All right, so we'll start with the five. So everyone just allowing yourself to gaze upon the code and just open yourself up to receiving the frequency that it's holding, allowing it to move in through the third eye and into the pineal gland, allowing it to spin. And as it spins, it's lighting up that frequency of a shift, of the change, just feeling the momentum that this frequency holds. And then we'll go to the next code of the six. So again, allowing yourself to meet the frequency of the code, allowing it to move into the pineal gland as it activates every cell of your body, turning on that ascended bloodline, the ascended DNA. And it's just coming to me to point out that these first two codes create an 11. And that just feels important to say. So we're just going to let them play on each other to create that frequency of the change connected to the ascended DNA is activating consciousness beyond the illusion. And then we'll go to the next code. And then just gazing upon the one, allowing it to spin within the pineal gland as it resets the body into the frequency of 963. Allowing that change, that upgrade through the DNA to bring through new thought, new inventions, a total reset on life, on consciousness, and the experience of the body. And then we're ready for the next one. And then we're activating the four. Just feeling that as it activates in your body, as it creates a new foundation from these new thoughts, this new innovator energy, that the stability is in the divine, that relationship with that frequency within yourself. And I'm just feeling in this that that foundation cannot be rocked. It's always there for you to rest in, to be supported in. I'm also hearing that the strongest foundation is the ability to shift where it needs to shift, to let go the heavy suitcase, being willing to explore in that frequency of what it is to have your strongest frequency be the relationship with that source intelligence within you. In the next code, chills is the 8. So when you are resting in that frequency of your foundation as the divine, opens up that synchronicity and flow, the magician energy, the ability to be playful. Just feeling that code as it activates. Okay, that feels complete. And then we'll move into the last code of the 22. I love the 22 following the 8. So just letting this code synchronize, activating in every cell of your body as the magician energy moves into the creator, that master creator, the ability to create as the creation itself. Feeling that activate and connect to all of the other codes as they create a system of intelligence. Upgrading your divine software system to allow you to move through this month from a place of mastery, allowing you to have the awareness of where to let go of things, where to step into your foundation of source, when to bring out your magic wand, be playful. Just feeling this code as it brings all of the other codes into the experience of your mastery. And then just allowing your consciousness to be uploaded into your software system to have the experience of what it feels like to hold consciousness in this beautiful system that's been created. Thank you, Abriana. And then just taking a breath, letting yourself go a little bit deeper into that frequency. And then I'm just feeling to invite in the awareness to see what needs to be seen, the willingness to let go with what's no longer serving, the willingness to stay in those abstract frequencies long enough to self-actualize in the intelligence of what it is to move forward in that magician and master creator energy. Okay, so I am going to bring us back into gallery. And we'll open it up to discussion. Does anybody have something they want to share? Something that came through to you, for you that you feel like you're going to be working on this month? Yeah, Kathy.
When you guys are talking about relationship, what I'm feeling, what's changing for me is a relationship with myself. It's big.
Mm. It's a beautiful place to start. It really is. Thank you for sharing. I'm excited to see what comes through for you. Does anybody else have a share? Yeah, Angie?
This was coming through when Aubriana, you sort of closed the session saying, about the relationship to self. And I kept getting like in class when when we're setting intentions and we're working through our intentions together as a group, I just kept seeing the questions that we ask ourselves when we're in the process of diving deep into what we want our intention to be. And I think the similarity there especially towards the end of the month, that I was getting was that, and as we do with our intentions, start asking us those questions. So if this is the information I'm getting, what will happen if I take the, like, how we trace those questions, and I was just seeing us doing that for ourselves. Does that make sense?
It does. I love that because it allows us to keep, because it's never just the surface, right? It's always what's underneath that and underneath that and underneath that. And I call it the inception point, is kind of when you hit that place of like, oh, well, I have nowhere else to go. It's like, okay, well, that's where you start, right? That's where you pay attention to that. Thank you for sharing. Does everybody understand what she's saying? Because it's really powerful. Yeah, thank you. Let's see, Fleur, hi.
Well, I felt that was really, really powerful, and I think it ties in so much with what doing with the wealth creation and what was said about how identity is a lot of what holds us back. And it seems that this Uranian energy and our relationship with ourselves, we have an opportunity to see ourselves differently and see our lives and what's being reflected to us by other people and the world differently, and transcend that. And that feels like a wonderful opportunity, a wonderful thing to be stepping into.
I love that. You just summed that up in such a beautiful way.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I love that. Yes, I feel like we were trying to get there and you just brought it all together. Bam. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, I hope everybody paid attention to what she just said, because I feel like that is the key for the month. We were tapping into it, but we didn't say it the way you just did. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Does anybody else have a share or comments? Yeah, Jennifer.
Hi, yeah. What was coming in for me, and it's been coming in before this session, is that relationship with self and the letting go of things that don't serve or aren't working. For me, it used to be a thing or a job or a person, and now it's more the thoughts that I'm having, and I'm noticing that. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but it feels right to share it. That as we go along this path together and we bring things in and we're manifesting, when you come back to the self, I'm noticing in myself this feeling of, okay, I have that, and I've manifested this, and now I've manifested this. And this thought that just keeps coming back around is it okay to have it all? And to me, that brings it back to the self and the worth that still comes up and rears its ugly head sometimes during this process, when we are realizing the magic that we are powerful enough to create, and just reminding ourselves that that's what we're here to do. This is everyone's birthright. So I just wanted to share that.
You know what I saw as soon as you said that? Okay, so you were in that kind of creation energy, and it was just you kind of painting your picture, and it's just everything was so beautiful. And then all of a sudden you took your hand off the canvas and you stepped back and you started analyzing it. And it was right then that the questions that started coming in. And so it's all you had to do is pick up the paintbrush and just keep painting, because when you're in it, right? And you're in it, that is a place of mastery for you, because you've learned to master how to stay in creation. And now it's just showing you what it feels like to step out, right? And just recognizing that that is the interference. And but I'm hearing that that's all that needs to be seen, right? There's nothing to be done. It's just noticing that that's when programming comes in. It doesn't mean that you have to do anything with it.
Yes, thank you.
Maybe try giving, you know what I saw? Okay, so
Tell
it was
me.
like your little mini me, right? And so when you stop painting and your little mini me comes in, that you turn around and give her a little tiny canvas and a little paintbrush.
Over there.
And just be like, you paint now.
Yes, yes, I love that. That's good.
Okay. Um, See, we get to have fun with it. It doesn't have to be serious. All right. Thank you for sharing because I know we all can relate to that. I feel like it is a thing. Does anybody else have a share or something that they would like to comment, reflection? Aubriana, do you have anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I think you just summed it up perfectly. That was brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for the reflections because that was like totally on point.
It was so beautiful. I love it all. So let's sum it all up. So it's the ability to see where we're holding identities that we're ready to let go of. It's emptying out the suitcase as we move on this imaginary timeline towards the eclipse. And as we let go of things, being willing to hear the information or stay open to information that may be filtering in as we release identities or things that no longer serve. And going back to the foundation of the divine within us, that self-love place, knowing that that's the strongest foundation that we will have. And then being willing to also entertain the mini me when it comes in and giving it some candy or a toy or a paintbrush is always a great way to play with that. And then I see Rebecca had her hand up. Does she still have her hand up? There she is.
It's basically what you just said, Jules, but when Jennifer was speaking, something that has been coming through for me just so strong is all of the old ways of kind of trying to create change. It's just been really clear that my old way of doing that was to notice something that I wanted to shift and then to kind of treat myself, come at myself in a place of judgment or a place of should or, oh, I need to fix this. And it was like really kind of a shaming energy. And not much changed that way, but it was like I think we're so programmed to sort of motivate ourselves in that way. And just in the past month or so, and what was really coming through in this reading is that like there's such a more loving and beautiful and gentle and actually productive way to create change in our life, which is really just to notice um, the things that maybe aren't working and we're kind of growing out of and to let them go, but from a space of love. And it's really just a matter of noticing and also leaning into this loving energy that's there and kind of carrying us along to our next. Um, and just allowing that old way of relating to ourselves to be one of the things that we let go of. And it's just that's been so nice for me. And it's accelerating the momentum of what's shifting as opposed to we think we've got to like treat ourselves in this way where we're pushing, and it's just like as letting that go is actually what's helping it to transform without our having to micromanage it.
I love that. Yeah, that feels really good. I don't have a reflection. It was spot on. So amazing, amazing. Okay, so I feel as you know this, I feel like March is you know what I just saw because I said March and I literally saw this like marching. I'm just like all the images are just popping in today. It's like we're marching into I really, you guys, I'm just gonna be super honest. I feel these that between now and the 25th, it is it's like aligning, right? It's bringing everything into direct alignment with the self, with the divine, letting go of those identities, the thing that's too heavy suitcases. It's just getting really, really quiet and still in the truth of, and then boom, from there, it's total reset into what's next. So, what, however that serves you between now and when we meet again, I will let you know that our next meeting, we are going to actually do live together for the eclipse. And we're going to invite you guys in. So it will be not till the 8th of April. And we're going to do something really special for that because we're going to be able to bring in those energies. And I'm not going to tell you any more because it's a surprise, but just stay tuned for that. So it will be a little bit of time between now and then. So just taking the time between now and then to really, really get to that heart-centered space of where am I going from here, right? That's just what I'm hearing. It's where am I going from here? And the question isn't from here, it's from us, it's between you and your divine. It's you and the intelligence. Okay. I love you all so much, and I can't wait to see you all in April for the eclipse. Love you. Thank you, Abriana.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.